So, you want to play Singularity in Teklovossen, right? To get Macro-Potent. Well, your first step is to get rid of it and play Nitro, right? Now, all kidding aside, Nitro is significantly easier to pull off for a few reasons, right? One, you can run 3 copies, which is big, because it means you could run Boost, you don't have to worry about discarding it, or sorry, banishing it, which is even worse. 2, the cost is 4, not 6. And then third, well, you don't need all 4 Evos, right? You need 3 hyperdrivers and any mechanized equipment, and 3 hyperdrivers is significantly easier to get on the board than 4 unique Evos. But hey, we're here for the fun, we're here for the hard, so we'll go ahead and we'll make Singularity work to the best of my ability. Now, I have swapped over to Classic Constructed, right, rather than doing it in Blitz. The reason I want to actually do it in Blitz more so than Classic Constructed is the big payoff of Singularity is horrible, right? So pay 3 to attack for 6, discard a card is okay, right? Giving all your mech and knowledge attacks go again is okay, right? But they're not great. And again, Flesh and Blood is such a highly strategic game where you really want to play efficiently. And going for Teklovossen, the Macro-Potent, is not efficient. It requires too much setup for average payoff. And that's pretty much the running theme with Teklovossen, is everything you do is for average payoff, right? Which is not great. But hey, if we are to build it, how might we do it? Well, starting off, you really want to make use of Steel Soul Memory. This is by far, obviously, the best Evo equipment to run because it has that transformation effect. So when this transforms from or into an Evo with Singularity, well, the Macro-Potent side being an Evo, you get to re-trigger its effect, meaning that if you were to transform all 4 pieces into Macro-Potents, you would gain the 6 resources from the chest, the 2 action points from the legs, the 2 intellect, which is okay, it's only for 1 turn, so it's not huge, and the recycling of 2 6 power cards, which is okay as well, right? The chest and the legs are the big thing, because if you transform the chest and the legs, then on your first round, what you get to do is swing twice, right? So you can play this, you've got barely anything left in your hand because it costs 6, right? And then what you can do is swing twice for 12 damage and get your opponent to discard 2 cards, meaning that their next turn is going to be of high pressure. So then you can try and go into a big finisher where you have your 5 cards from the head, you have the 2 recycled pieces, right, of which you can only draw 1, right? This should really be the 4th card, not the 5th card, because it just does not synergize with this now. If it was the 4th card, then you'd be able to draw into both of them once you get Singularity, meaning that you can stack it up for an OTK. But hey, I digress. There is lots of holes to pick apart with this card, nonetheless. But yeah, you want that. So again, you can go into 12 damage with your opponent most likely blocking, because after the first one, they're going to have to discard anyway, so they might as well overblock the first, take 6, and then you go for your big finisher. And the issue is, right, in Classic Constructed, everyone has 40, or roughly 40. So 12, at best, is then needed to be backed up by 28. And it's not like you can pressure damage throughout the game as Teklovossen, because that is really counter to what you're trying to do, right, which is get your Evos on board as quick as possible, cycle through them so that you can maintain block and defensiveness, and then go in Singularity. So yeah, there's a lot of things that don't synergize well, right? You want boost to get these into your banish zone, but if you boost this, it's no good. So in all honesty, you're significantly better off running just a Evo deck with Teklovossen without Singularity, right? If you pull it off, cool. If you don't, it doesn't matter. In most cases, you won't actually want to, because it is downgrade to then, trash all your equipment so you don't have any block on board. And then go into this, which is equipment, so there's some disadvantage there. 3 intellect is a huge disadvantage. And then obviously just swinging for 6 off your ability, right? This should really have go again, I think, right? The cost is enough to deter chaining it together, hugely, right? So if it had go again, you still could only chain it maybe 4 times if you were running all blue. And that's another thing. You want to run all blue because these cards, right, are 4 plus your ability is 7. And most likely what you want to do, or want to try to do, is in every turn play a piece, instant play another piece, right? So you can get 2 on board and really speed up or ramp up your ability to go into Singularity, or just do Evo things. But again, that makes you want to run blue, and a lot of your big payoff cards are not blue with Teklovossen, right? They're red, meaning that they're okay, because again, 7 is the magic number here, right? 4 plus 3, 7. but you don't want too many red. So it is a conundrum, right? But let's set it up as best as we can. So starting off, I'm going to take all 3 pieces of the chest, right? Because the chest is great because of the resource generation. Same with the legs, the action point generation is good. They're basically the same thing, right? If you generate the action point, you don't have to use your hero ability. If you generate the resources, it pays for your hero ability. Done. As for the head and arms, I don't value these cards in normal turns, right? The intellect is nice, but getting it off is too hard, right? Because they don't trigger the first time you equip them unless you have an Evo under them, meaning unless you go with the Sentry gear, right? You won't get off the first proc. So ideally, you want to run odd. So for instance, if you have 3, you run 2. If you have 2, you run 1, and so forth. That way you can chain them together and make sure that the Steel Soul is on top. So for instance, with 3 chests, 3 legs, I would run 2 of the Sentry chest and 2 of the Sentry legs, meaning that if I start with the Sentry, it's fine. If I start with the Evo Steel Soul, it's also fine. I'll end up with Steel Soul on top, which is what you want. Plus again, they're red, which is counter to the whole pitching, cycles of 3 or 2 cards, right? 3 and 1 or something like that. But then in terms of the Steel Soul, again, going back to the head and arms, I am most tempted to just run 1 copy of each, right? And the idea is if you get them, great. If you don't get them, it's not a big deal. And then running another 2 Sentry, right? So the Sentry head and the Sentry arms. That way you can chain them. You don't have to. And then running either the Breaker or the other instant set, right? What's the easiest way to do this? Probably Evo and then go to... No, it's right here, right? Yeah, so the arms get you 1 extra damage, right? But it's 1 attack, so that is nice. Doesn't matter. And then the head, if I could find it. Where's the head? Right, gets you banish a card from your hand if you do draw a card. So cycling, so it's fine too. Banish, it allows you to activate your hero ability, play Evos from banish, so that is good, right? And the fact that it's instant means that you can sit on it in your banish zone and then play it as need be. However, again, if you're going straight for Singularity, I think just going full on defensive is probably the real go. So running max copies of most things. So again, playing odds and evens. So running 2 of each of the Sentry sets, right? And then 3 of each of the Steel Soul. And that way you can chain them together effectively. And I've got a T. Ooh, like so. Done. And this is, again, just the base of your deck. So 1/3 of your deck is Evos, which is fine because you want to draw into them. You want to get them into your graveyard. You don't want to go for boost, again, if you're playing Singularity. If you weren't playing Singularity, boost is the best thing to get your Evos straight into there so that you can then play them. But what route we need to go, again, so that we can play around building towards Singularity, is to go with the scrapped compactors. Yes. Okay, so when this attacks, if it's scrapped a card, you may play your next Evo this turn as though it were instant. So this allows you to essentially block with these cards from hand or from board if they're equipped, and then play scrap compactor as your turn, put it in your banish zone, right, from the graveyard to banish zone, and then play it instant, bypassing your pay 3, bring the cost down, and allowing you to still accomplish your progression towards Singularity. So I would probably, in most circumstances, run all 9 copies of scrap compactor, and then basically just go for the Evo payoffs. I don't value Scrap Trader too highly. And the reason for that is you get 4 resources if you hit the cards. Just by getting 1 card off Scrap Compactor, it's now instant, meaning it's 3 resources, so they're pretty equivalent. And eventually these will become dead, whereas this is at least still A, pushing damage, which is, not big because it's not a huge amount of damage, but it's still pushing damage. And B, again, playing instant is better than paying 3 than having to use your hero ability. Sorry, gain is better than gaining 4 and then having to use your hero ability. So yeah, this is just essentially the backbone of the deck to me, is again, using all your Evos to block from hand, right, or on board, and just playing as defensive as you can get, then using Scrap Compactor to be able to equip them. Right, so here's where we end up at, right? Basically running a lot of the Evo finishers, but the whole idea is you don't actually want to play them until the very end, with just the whole strategy being either defending with Evos, right, or playing Scrap Compactor into playing Evos, and just cycling through that. Now, you have to take a lot of damage from your opponent, because obviously you're leaving them open to utilize all their cards, right, because you're not really pressuring anything. Now, I wish the Teklo leveler was a bit better, but in all honesty, the damage being like 1 for 3 with Go Again, if you have 4 Evos, is horrible. That is, again, the payoff for setting up all your Evos is just so average. And it's just so sort of weird to me, because even in Classic Constructed, this is slow, right? This is slower than the majority of what every single other class can do. And it's not really the strategy you want to use for Teklovossen. Granted, you do get a lot of block. And it's just whether or not that block is enough to salvage things. Now, I don't know Classic Constructed too well, right? Because mainly I play Blitz to just have fun with a lot more of the goofy heroes. But yeah, I mean, blocking for upwards of maybe, well, one from hand, 12, and then on board, maybe another 8. If you're lucky, 20 damage a turn. We're going to churn through everything nice and quick. I don't know. Then we also have Fabricate. Fabricate is sort of a mixed bag for me. I wish it wasn't red, right? Because then again, it would be a bit more viable. The costs they just don't align as well as what I'd like, right? Oh, either his ability need to be cheaper or these need to be cheaper. Then I understand these not being cheaper because then everyone could run them and they'd be pretty strong. But I mean, you still got to chain them because they don't proc that first time, which is something I didn't realize till pretty late here. And then we have Rusted Relics for Arcane Barrier, because you need some Arcane Barrier if you're actually gonna, take competitiveness seriously, because you need the options to obviously, ward off Wizard, and is Wizard still the only one that can really do Arcane? But yeah, anyway, this is the deck for now. Let's just fire up a game and yeah, see how long exactly it's going to take us. So single player, private, open format, obviously, because the set's not out yet, so I don't think you can. Well, I mean, you can play, obviously, in open format. Right, Cogworks or the Teklo base doesn't really matter. You can't really take advantage of Cogworks because, again, we're not playing Boost, because the whole idea of this is for us to play Singularity. If Singularity gets boosted, well, that's the end of the run. Unlike Nitro, where, again, you can run 3 copies. If one of them gets boosted, if 2 of them gets boosted, it's not a worry. Singularity should have been an Evo, both sides, right? Because if the Construct side was an Evo, then even if it was Evo Construct, right, you wouldn't have to worry. You could play Boost. Boost then feeds into playing all your equipment significantly better, and you can just sit on Singularity in your banish zone until you're actually ready to pull it off. I think that alone would have been enough to not make it powerful, but to make it playable. Yeah. Anyway, submit deck. Right. So yeah, again, all we're really doing is either playing Evos or blocking. So I would obviously like to get the Sentry set out first, but you gotta just play towards the cause. So play Steel Soul, doesn't really matter which one, right? War Machine and Scrap Compactor, and that is our turn done. So we pass, right? Scrap Compactor, we want more than War Machine. You want to save all the red attacks again for the late game once you have all your Evos set up, because right now even 3 for 6 is okay, and the destroy all cards in your arsenal is okay, but again, it would consume our turn and doesn't further our goal of going to Singularity, right? Again, if you don't go for Singularity, it's half decent. If you go for Singularity, it's way too slow. Well, yeah, Scrap Compactor. Do I want to put it in my arsenal? Yeah, because we want to draw 4. I was tempted to block with it, because again, the main thing is you want to block with what's on board and in your hand. And this is one of the big hurdles starting off, is you're going to take damage, right, from the get-go, because your first real step is to make sure that you get all pieces of equipment filled, and that way you can start blocking highly effectively and not lose cards from your hand, right? So do that. Pass. Pass. Cool. So now this allows us to play Scrap Compactor. We can then obviously banish our Evo, and we can now play our Evo, which is, again, the whole loop that we really want to go to. But pass. We do have to play it on instant speed, so that would be 3 and 2, so 5, right? So again, doesn't quite work. It's too costly unless you're running all blue to up the chances, or running mostly blue, which again is counter to all the big payoffs for Teklovossen. So it's a really fine balancing act, but at least we're starting to get some in our banish zone. I really shouldn't have put this in our arsenal. I think it would have just been better in hand to block with, right? A 3 block, and then eventually we can use Scrap Compactor to stick it in our banish zone. Very well, they attack, right? So then we go back into our blocking phase. Street Enforcer is now 2, so it's not horrible, but obviously higher would be nice. We want to keep Scrap Compactor, right? Yeah, I really want to get rid of this. But you can probably block with Scrap Compactor. Again, you want to save your payoffs, but they're red, so they're also not what you're going to pitch. It's really, really confusing what the real lines are to me. Pass. We now play the Sentry. We have, what, blue, so that's 6, and 8, and 9, right? 3 plus 2 is 5, plus 4, so we can play everything, which is good, right? So it doesn't really matter which one we start off with. So we do that. We pitch blue, done. Play you. We pitch you, done. We play you, pitch. Right? So we're already at 3 Evos, which is great. Again, I wouldn't pop Singularity at this point in the game either, because I don't think you can push for enough damage. But we'll see, you never know. You want to stack things appropriately, so since we're close to Singularity, we want to stop putting the main payoffs to the bottom. We want to put other stuff. So we want the liquid called Mayhem, right? And we probably want the Enforcer next, then Scrap Compactor, and the Rusted Relic. We don't want to add to our arsenal, again, because I'm pretty sure you want to block with it. Well, the Sentry set isn't so bad because it's only 2, and it would proc the resources. So if we draw into another Evo, it's not too bad. But I do think you want to block and then go into Scrap Compactor as your main lines, right? Because that way you can play defensively. Again, all we're suffering here is 2 damage, which is very unrealistic. Block with equipment, right? Because now we have a lot on board. We can also go into the intellect, which is nice. Pass. So right now we have hardly any in hand, so I guess we just play that and pitch the 4. We get our intellect. Why did I get a card back? Curious. I didn't miscount, right? Yellow. Are they both yellow? Oh, they are both yellow. It looked red to me, sorry. So Mayhem again. Scrap Compactor goes to the bottom. Tusk. Block with equipment. Right, so again, we do have a lot of block on board. Just in a normal match, I don't think this is viable. Because again, you don't want to... You probably only want to block once with the Steel Soul. Because you don't want it to be in range of being destroyed. Because if it's destroyed, then you lose everything. Right, you lose the Cogworks, and then you have to find Fabtcg, and you have to start again. And that's just going to be hugely slower. We also start trying to pressure with the Teklo Leveler. But yeah, you want to string Evos together, obviously. But there's just not a good line to do that. Even with 5 cards right now, because again, we're mainly not blue, right? We can go into the chest for extra resources. So that's probably the first step. Pitch. We get the resources. So we now have 4. So we can go Teklovossen. I would like to get the Sentry Legs out, but we want the intellect more so, I think. So we play that, and we have to pitch 3, and then we can't play the legs, that's fine. So we probably add the legs to our arsenal. Right? No, so I think you'd keep them for block now. Maybe add the Mayhem, because it's only 1. Right? So you can start pressuring, which is, again, good. But the non-go again is very worse. I think if all of them had like 4 Evos, go again. I think that would be good, or 3 Evos. 3 Evos would probably be too powerful. But see, right now we've drawn into a lull because we only have 1 base legs. And again, it's really important that you have the chest and the legs to go into Singularity. And then also, this is also discounting the fact that we have no way to fetch Singularity, right? I have 50 cards left in my deck, and I'm just going to sit here blocking, getting to the point where my equipment's actually going to break or be destroyed, and just waiting, hopefully, that I get Singularity to pay off everything I'm doing. Okay, we'll add that to the arsenal, why not? Tusk, block for 2. So, yeah, you could probably block with the legs, right? Because now we can go into Scrap Compactor. In fact, it seems like you don't really need the Scrap setup either. You can just, again, play defensively. But the pressuring is what you really want, right? Because even them taking 1 damage is good, versus if you can somehow go them into blocking it, is even better. Okay, so what can we do? We can play 2. Probably want to play at instant speed. Can we even do that? No, because we'd like to get Scrap Compactor off. Why is this still green? Interesting. So I think you go for Scrap Compactor, get the legs back, right? And you just have a slow turn. There's nothing else you can really do, because you just don't have the action points. Tusk, so we can block with our equipment, our newly equipped. Done. Pass. We're not running many blues, so we're not really like, really able to do what I want, right? Because you again 7 or 3. 3 is just too costly on Teklovossen. Surely I can't be the only one thinking that, right? Yeah, new equipment. We did finally get Singularity. I would not play it at this point, and I would not stick in my arsenal. So it just sits in our hand unless we want to pitch it, but then we have to go back through 46 cards. And the reason I wouldn't play it, again, is the payoff. Right now we get intellect, we get attacks. But again, what do? We're just blocking with 6. You can probably block 1, maybe 2 turns off of Singularity, right? Just continuously blocking it before you actually take chip damage. And also you need the 6 going into it, which is big. So if I played it now, it's just 1 turn done, right? I don't actually get any payoff straight away, which it just puts you out in the open. So yeah, I don't think that's too good just yet. I mean, we could stack up Liquid Cool Mayhem, right? Because then they'd have go again, but we also don't get the 1 action point form from Singularity, right? Pass. Play the arms. Why not? Pitch 4. This is 2 as well. No, so we can't. We'd be 1 short still. Which is annoying. I should have played that anyway. So we're against the AI, so I should be able to stick Singularity into our inventory. We can draw. Can we banish? It is from your hand, which is also unfortunate there. Right, so we can still block 1 for 1. That's 2. Again, it whittles down nice and quickly. Pass. I think we should have stuff in the graveyard. Scrap compactor. No, we didn't. Yeah, this is so much easier to pull off in Blitz. Block. Probably block with... What doesn't really matter? Mechanical strength at this point. No, because I need the red. I need the blue, sorry, not red. We can block with the arms. But it's so small block, right? We'd actually be taking so much damage right now. That's Fabtcg goes. I'm just looking for the chest for our payoff. Mechanical strength. Finally, we've got the chest. We have the right cards to play it, so I want to get rid of that from our arsenal. Block with our newly equipped legs. Done. Go into the chest first. Yes, we're getting rid of Magnetic Protocol. Keep the War Machine. Well, I would like blues. So I'd probably put the War Machine in your arsenal now, in case, obviously, Arsenal Disruption, and not put Singularity, because again, it's too valuable, because it's only 1 of. All blues is good. We can block. We're playing Steel Soul, so we need both to pitch. So we can still block with equipment. Although, again, you don't want to put more counters on these 2, right? It's very risky. We do that. Pass. Pass. We can finally equip the Steel Soul. We pitch 4. Is that the right order? I can get 6, so we can't play both. Yeah, so that's the right order. Because we'll get 3 back from this. That puts us at 9. But then we need 7, right? So 4 and 7 is not 9, right? So there is very, very little way to actually make use of your hero ability because of the cost to me, right? Because this is the best possible setup. We're getting the benefit of the Steel Soul. But we're at 5, so I pay this. I mean, we could equip a sentry piece, I suppose, but just not anything else, right? So we're just sitting off of 5. I suppose you'd probably... No, you can't even play War Machine, right? Because we don't have the instant. I suppose... instant into it? No, but we didn't have the resources, right? We'd be 1 short because we got 3 off of that. Yeah, just... It's not good odds, I think. Ooh. I mean... You probably just take this hit then, right? And we're playing Magnetic Protocol and Rusted Relic into Singularity, getting the action point, getting the resource, so we can go Mayhem and War Machine. So that is a great opener, right? In Blitz, that would be good, but in Classic Constructed, again, I think it's too slow for the amount of HP. We're also out of block, basically, right? Because these get destroyed. We can't do that. So we're just blocking for 1, taking our first bit of damage, interestingly, against sad little 2 husk. Right, and then we can go into our actual payoff. Singularity, pitch the Rusted Relic, Magnetic Protocol. Cool. We gain 6 resources, right? So we can play Liquid Cooled Mayhem. straight away, 0 cost. That's good. Right, so that's 4. We can then play our War Machine. That's 9, so we're at 13. Right, 13. We're at 3 resources, so then we can swing with us for 19 damage. Again, it doesn't really matter what you get rid of. I mean, we still have Fabricate, so I suppose going back into the chest would be decent. So the Cogworks is probably the first thing you sort of get rid of. That in the legs. Right, so our opener was 19 damage. The idea, obviously, is that your opponent dumps their hand. Right, so then you get the upside of drawing into 5, because you had the head, and then going for your finishes. Right, so even this would be, well, I mean, we're 1 short, unfortunately. Well, we can draw, so we can try, but this would be 9, 18, and then maybe another swing. Right, and you just block with you. Block with you. Yeah. Done. Pass. So 19. Pressured for 19, remember, not actually hit for 19. We play Fabricates. We get rid of the legs. We can put under an Evo. That's fine. Oh, actually, no, you'd go with the base equipment. Right. So we go with legs, I think, because the action point's probably better. Or is chest, or is the resource better? Because you have go again on your attacks. No, but you want to swing a bunch. So I think the legs are better. Although we're about to get rid of them, so I'm going to go with chest. I'm interested. Right, because do I still click this to defend? We draw 2. We didn't get blue, which obviously is annoying, right? Because this is the whole thing. Our payoffs cost 3 still. Our ability costs 3 still. And, you know, even off of how many cards was that? 5? We can do one thing, right? We can do Liquid Core Mayhem, so 19 becomes 24. Into us punching, I suppose. Right, pitch 3. Doesn't really matter, we'll go back with the base. Oh, it doesn't. Oh, actually, we want... What do we recruit? Chest, right? So you do that. So you get your resources back. Sorry, submit is down here. Right, so now we can play them. But it's just... It's about holding so many cards till the end of the game. Which for a game where a draw is very rarely put into the play, right? Like the ability to draw through your deck is so minor compared to other TCGs. Plus then you have the fact that, again, everything is about being efficient on paying for costs, being efficient on defending, right? That's, again, being at 7 is such a weird value. Being at these high 3s is hard. And then you have the other issue of no tutors, right? If there were some high degree of Evo tutors outside of the items, because I know there are some items that allow you to tutor things, at least I'm pretty sure there is, right? But all that, again, goes back into you need so much setup for average payoff, right? Again, the big thing being average payoff. Ooh, so we block again. I clicked the wrong one, doesn't matter. We take 2. Right. Oh, you know what? No, never mind. The banish doesn't even allow you to replay because you're not Teklovossen anymore. I completely forgot about that. I mean, that would have been that's such a missed opportunity to have the interaction being you can find Fabricate, equip base, and then banish the Evos from Teklovossen, the Becro Potent, to then be able to play them and re-equip. Right, going back to the chest could have made up for those cost disadvantages to some degree because it's still hefty cost. Can't play Mechanical Strength because we're only drawing 3, right? We have to draw all blues, which again goes against the big payoff of mostly wanting reds. I don't know. Again, there's just so many different facets to this, and they don't mesh as well as they probably should. We'll leave it there. Hope you enjoyed. I'll put the deck link in the description for Class Constructed, right? Obviously, it still needs some refining. You know, it's decent. It's just not competitive level, right? Again, it's just average, which makes it bad. Hope you enjoyed. See ya.